Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of the weekly vlog. Here is going to be, I believe, episode 11. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, appreciate it if you did so down below. Like the video, leave some comments. You guys don't really comment too much on these. It's normally my other videos, but yeah. So I'm just going to get right into it here. It's been a little while. Been doing a lot behind the scenes with the truck and just life stuff in general. I'll start off with the hood vinyl I did when I initially bought the truck. I removed that and I was going to redo it because some of the edges started, it cracked and peeled because, well, I think it was like last winter, I was just pressure washing off some stuff that got on my truck and I just so happened to hit the corner of that vinyl perfectly when it was like cold and brittle and it broke. So I removed that. I was going to reinstall more vinyl. And then I thought to myself, maybe I should do like a solar hood panel thing because I want to get a portable 12-volt fridge slash freezer for basically camping and overlanding reasons. And I want to do like a month to 2 month long road trip. Hopefully this summer if everything works out the way that I think it will. If not, I can always just do that big long road trip another time. It's a Cascadia4x4 solar panel for the hood. It's actually not made for a Frontier. I spoke to them, I would say a few months about it, honestly, off and on. And we came to an agreement that the one they make for the Porsche Cayenne or something, I think, is like the perfect measurements and dimensions to fit that part of the center of the hood on the Frontier where it has that little bulge that comes out, if you know what I mean. I don't know why I'm trying to show you with my hands, but yeah, the stuff yesterday, it comes in two different packages. One, you're gonna get the vinyl that's gonna protect the hood surface, and you're gonna get the, I think it's like the MPPT or something like that, but the solar power controller. And I'll say right off the bat, if I'm gonna assume here, I mean, I'm getting the panel itself today, so I'll be able to give you guys a better idea on that once it's all installed, and I'll get a video up on that as well. But going off of how the vinyl indexed, or whatever you want to say, fit that area of the hood, I'm pretty confident that that panel is going to look perfect on there. And here's the thing, there's other companies, I'm not going to mention any names, that have these hood solar panels, and they said this specifically for the 2022 plus Nissan Frontier. But when you look at it, the fitment on that area of the hood doesn't really look as good as it could, honestly. So on to the next thing here. I always get my oil change kit or whatever. I do my oil changes through Z1 Off-Road. It's just easier. I just go with the basic cheap OEM 0W20 oil and their filter along with the crush washer. And for $38, I think it is, it's a pretty awesome price. And then when I was also purchasing the oil change kit that I've been getting now for the last 40,000 miles, it hasn't given me any issues. It's pretty awesome. I would also suggest you get like their little no spill funnel that's specifically made for the Frontier. It's pretty cool. It threads into the, when I was also purchasing that, I finally decided, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna get the catch can. It's like 38,000 miles in at this point. I mean, it's better late than never. I've always ran catch cans on all my Rams that I've had with the 5.7 liter Hemi, because those are notorious for like a lot of blow by and stuff like that. And it caught a decent amount of oil in those trucks. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was mainly during the winter months when you get all the condensation and it would mix with the oil and all that crap. But I just figured for peace of mind, it's worth having. It will keep the engine cleaner for sure, especially with direct injection. Some people have had issues with it, but that's their own fault and like their own, I guess, lack of care or just improper maintenance, I guess you could say, because they never checked the levels of the catch can. And then they were like, holy shit, my whole engine's fucked because it just sucked in all this oil. It is what it is. Like, you should have been doing proper maintenance on your stuff and you should be checking it and making some kind of maintenance schedule for it instead of just driving around infinitely until all of a sudden your engine ceases to work. I believe Z1 is going to be releasing their Snorkel pretty soon, and I would suggest you guys get on board with that as well. If that's something that you're looking into, it should be coming out pretty soon. I think at this point they're getting pretty close to the release. I would also like to see Z1 do like a rear shock skid or something that you can install that incorporates into the like OEM mount for the shock and then kind of extends it a little bit or whatever, just to give it some kind of protection. Because that's the only thing at this point on my truck I'm really worried about, is just the rear shock mounts. Everything else is protected by Z1 Off-Road skid plates, so I'm not really too worried about that. But what I am a little bit worried about is catching that shock mount on a rock or something goes under the truck and hits it, because those are pretty fragile. It's not very thick metal. It's not really boxed in either. It's just two little slats that can easily bend. Because I actually bent my front lower control arm mounting point pretty bad. I don't know what it was from. Maybe it was a rock or something, but it was before I got the CA tuned off-road engine radiator skid plate. So I think that would have probably saved that mounting point. I ended up bending it back and everything, but it's just goes to show you how delicate some of these parts are and everything on the truck. You just assume it's steel, so it's good. But like I said, same thing with the rear shock mount. That front lower control arm mount isn't boxed in either, so it can just crush in like with any kind of weight on the front end of the truck. If you're going up something and you happen to catch it, that's what I did, and it actually bent it in, so it would be like this. But then once I hit whatever I hit, it kind of just caved it in. So that was great, trying to unbend that. Didn't really affect my alignment, but still, it's a pain in the ass. And I basically want to have everything set up so my tent opens up on the passenger side of the truck. I have the roof nest condor awning that integrates into the condor rooftop tent, because the pull-out one, it was decent, but I got sick of using a privacy tent for changing and showering and things like that. So I replaced that pull-out like 4.5 foot awning with a rain outdoors shower / privacy room. It's pretty awesome. I'll show you guys that in another video. It has like a little roof on it, 2 windows that can open up. It has a support for, like, say my water port I can use as a shower. And you can stake down the corners so it's not blowing around, etc. It's super nice. So I put that in place of the awning, and now with the integrated awning from Roof Nest, it actually has a much larger square footage area for the coverage. I think it's like 155 square feet, as opposed to the 4.5 by 8, which was like 50 something square foot coverage or something like that. But I'm getting like 2 to 3 times the coverage. I mean, the only thing that's gonna take a little bit longer to set up and break down, but that's worth the trade-off, especially when you're talking about like a long road trip type scenario where you're gonna be staying at the same spot for maybe 1 or 2 days. At some point too as well, I want to get a Diode Dynamics SS5 linkable light bar, whatever you want to call it. I want to put it up on the roof rack in the front. I'm pretty sure I can make it work somehow with the wind fairing that I have from Front Runner. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out. I know someone said that they used the Baja Designs mounts for the Front Runner rack and made it work with the SS5 crosslink bars. So I'm not too concerned about that. I'm just more so concerned about the clearance of it and everything else and how it will fit. Worst case scenario, I would have to take that wind fairing off and then put the small one back on that came with the roof rack, like the little one that goes in an angle like this under the first slot or so of the roof rack itself. For the rear seat delete too, like I was saying, I'd either go with goose gear, but if I made my own, I would do probably 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch plywood, probably 3/4 inch plywood. I'm not too sure yet. Some 2x4s, etc. Brace everything, make it so it can interface into the actual mounts for the seat from the factory, so you can screw that down with bolts or whatever and some washers, make it really secure. But then I also want to get like a black carpet to match the interior carpet of the truck and stretch that out over it and everything and staple it on the underside, adhere it to the top, etc. Like I want it to look clean. And then, like I said, I want to put the slide out so the fridge can pull out of the passenger side door. I was also looking at, I believe a company makes a thing for the privacy rooms that, say this is the top of the truck here and the hood's down here and this is the tailgate. It would take the privacy tent like this and fold it out this way. So it would be, you'd still have access to the two doors on the side, as opposed to when you take that privacy tent out now, it kind of blocks off the doors. But it's not that much of a pain to just kind of move it out of the way a little bit to open the door. So I don't know if it's really worth the money for something like that. I like to start following the Z1, like their Harop supercharger kit, a little bit closer. It seems like it's been up on the site now for a little while, and I haven't seen anything in terms of pricing or anything like that change, but we have seen little things here and there, little snippets where they're talking about a matte carbon or a gloss carbon intake tube and stuff like that. So it's good to know that they're still doing testing and R&D and stuff like that. So far, everything Z1 has put out has been pretty stellar, honestly. I'm not gonna say anything otherwise because every product I've got from them so far and the customer service has been outstanding. Products are very high quality and they stand behind it. And the one thing I like is they don't release a product until they've done a pretty decent amount of R&D and testing, it seems like, because the Snorkel now has been in the design and R&D process now for, I'd say close to a year, maybe if not more. And same thing goes for the Harop supercharger kit too. That's also been like, they've been testing that out now for a while. So I'm gonna just go out on a limb here and say that once all that stuff is released, including the bumper and some of the other small things, it's gonna be perfect. The only thing with the bumpers, I will say, is it's hard on these Nissan vehicles because the tolerances are so wide. And that's the reason why companies like Hefty Fab and a few other ones kind of pulled their bumpers off production because they didn't want to have to manufacture, like they want their bumpers to fit as good as they possibly can and have like super tight tolerances, right? But you can't do that when the tolerances from the factory from one truck to another could be like pretty large in terms of the differences. Because I know on my my rock sliders from them, I bought them like right when the D41 Frontier came out. They already had the rock sliders. They were the first ones, I believe, that made them. And my truck, the holes didn't line up in the back. I had to actually elongate like 2 of them just for that reason, because the holes weren't in the same spot as their truck that they used for their product testing and stuff. So it's definitely kind of a pain for these companies to make things for these trucks, and I understand why some of them don't want to make things for the Nissan. But at the same point, now when you look at the pricing of some of these Toyotas, you would have to be crazy to think that people are going to continue to pay those prices. Like, I just saw recently some stuff on Instagram with the Tacoma TRD Pro. The starting MSRP is like $63,000 or $65,000. That is insane. It's a mid-sized truck. At the end of the day, it's a mid-sized truck. A mid-sized truck should not cost more than 50 grand fully loaded. That's insane to me, because you can buy a full-size, fully loaded truck for almost the exact same price, if not less, if you shop around, which is crazy. If you're buying if you're buying one of those Tacomas for that price, then I guess good for you, I guess. But for the most part, I think the people over at Toyota have to be smoking some insane crack, or like some of Hunter Biden's crack rock or something, because there's no way that a mid-sized truck should be more than $50,000. 55 maybe tops, fully loaded. And then you got people buying the Land Cruisers for almost $100,000. Are you guys high? You could buy the Lexus GX for way less and have a much better, more robust SUV than the Land Cruiser, but that's just me. If I'm paying that much money for an SUV, there's no way I'm buying a Land Cruiser at that point. That's just ridiculous. Like, the dealer markups are like over 20 grand on some of them, like, and people are buying them. What the hell? I don't get it. It's crazy. Right now would be the time for one of these companies to start trying to look into some of the pricing on these and be like, dude, we can easily compete with this, and maybe we can get some sales away from Toyota and to us. For instance, if Nissan was to release a new, say, Xterra, the sticker price on my Nissan Frontier Pro4x with the premium trim, everything you could possibly want included besides the spray and bed liner and like the sports bar, it cost on MSRP, I believe it was like 45, and I was able to talk them down $3,000 from that. And then with my trade-in out the door, I only owed $24,000 on that truck. And here's the crazy thing: if you're buying one of those new Tacomas, that's just the MSRP. The dealers would probably be asking 70 to 80K for some of those trims. I guarantee it, and people will buy it. And here's the thing that's crazy to me though is, you could buy a Ford Ranger, a Nissan Frontier, probably a Chevy Colorado too. I don't know the pricing on those other two vehicles, but I know the Frontier is very affordable. You could buy a different mid-sized truck, fully build it out, make it fully capable for overlanding, get a rooftop tent, a bed rack, suspension, friggin' roof rack, whatever the hell you wanted, all the lighting in the world to be brighter than the sun, and it still wouldn't probably come as close, or it would come pretty close in terms of price to the Tacoma TRD off-road MSRP and the dealer markups and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are going to be turned off by the pricing on these things, and I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to see people start to step away from Toyota in the off-road community because the pricing is insane right now. And then they'll either have to lower the price or they're going to be screwed. And people are going to start looking elsewhere for affordable vehicles, because there's no way that something that's like 50 grand plus mid-sized truck, and that's not even the top of the line. Like, I was looking at SR5s that the MSRP was $50-something thousand. I mean, what the hell? So until next week, or whenever I upload the next video, guys, I just want to say thanks for the support. Let's see if I can hit, like, I don't know, 500 subscribers by the end of next month. Probably not, but it's a target, I guess, something to look forward to. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming up here, like the Cascadia4x4 solar hood panel, the Z1 Off-Road Snorkel when that gets released. Hopefully soon. I definitely will be getting one, and I will be doing a video on that with an install and just a bunch of content as well on Instagram regarding that hood panel, the snorkel, and the catch can as well that I'm going to be getting from Z1 Off-Road. I'll do a video on that. I'm not sure if there's been any videos put out on that yet. It seems pretty straightforward, but I'd like to just do one just to give you guys an idea of what you're going up against and the end product of it all. That's more or less what I made this channel for, was for people to see different things and get an actual end user's input that's paying for all this stuff with their own money that they've worked for, and they want to invest it wisely.